Hello everyone, and I'm Shannon Thomas, and we are going to discuss now about what exactly is investment banking, what are the different career opportunities, what really happens in investment banking. I know there are a few people. I think Aishwarya has asked few questions. I'll be answering all your questions too. So, the next 15-20 minutes or so, I'll give you a introduction about what exactly is investment banking and what really happens in investment banking. And once that is done, I'll kind of take up the questions that you'll have. And after that, Jasjeet will take over and she'll talk about the offerings of Imarticus and what exactly is CBOP, the CBOP course, the course outline, and what exactly is going to be covered. So before I even begin, I'll quickly introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Shannon Thomas, and I currently run a boutique investment research and advisory firm named Esta Capital. We are into research. Prior to Esta Capital, I was with JP Morgan in the Bombay and New York offices in the investment banking team. So within investment banking, I was into mergers and acquisitions in the FIG sector, that is Financial Institutions Group. And prior to that, I worked with a boutique investment bank named Tresvista Financial Services, wherein the role was purely into valuations and uh, private equity. And I've been a visiting faculty with Imarticus for around 2 to 3 years, and I've been teaching in CBOP and some of the other courses, and I've been teaching a range of topics in investment banking and investment banking operations. And today, over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you all an introduction about what exactly is investment banking, uh, what exactly they do, and what are the different roles, and who are the different investment banks, or what are they. That is exactly what we're going to talk about. Now, firstly, let us understand what exactly is an investment bank. I'm sure there's a lot of confusion because of the word bank. Now, when you hear the word bank, what we feel is it's some fund based service wherein these people take money from somewhere and invest money somewhere else. No, that is not investment banking. That is banking. That is commercial banking or retail banking. Now, investment banking is different. And at the same time, investment banking is also not about investing your money. Now, that is asset management, right? So, what exactly is investment banking? So, investment banks are basically these large financial corporations which act as intermediaries between organizations which want to raise money and investors which have a lot of money. You must have heard about IPO or PE, private equity. So, investment banks are people who help companies raise money by issuing different instruments. Now, Aishwarya, I'll answer all your questions, I think. So, anyone who has questions, I think you all can write it, and once I'm done with the presentation, I'll take your questions, solve your questions, and as in so whenever you'll have any questions, you all can just write it down. I can see all your questions here in the questions pane. So in short, so investment banking basically is about helping companies raise capital by issuing different financial securities. Other than that, investment banks also help in uh, mergers and acquisitions. That is, when one company tries to acquire another company, an investment bank tries to help them kind of do the entire process, value the other companies. They try to kind of help a company find another potential target. So that is the kind of services that investment banks provide now, which is very different from what commercial banking or retail banking is. Commercial banking is where you borrow money in the form of deposits or CASA, that is current account and savings account, and you invest that money somewhere else, right? As in, you give out loans to some people who need money. Now, that is not investment banking. Investment banking is basically you help companies raise money, or you help companies uh, acquire another company. So, within investment banking, what you would see is there are different teams. So there is ECM, that is equity capital markets, which helps in IPOs and rights issues and buybacks. Then there is DCM, that is debt capital markets. Then there is mergers and acquisitions, right? Debt capital markets is where uh, the investment bankers help companies raise debt, right? So that is what debt capital market is about. And then there is uh, sector coverage or M&A teams which actually research on different sectors, and they try to find potential M&A opportunities. Other than this, now scope of investment banking has widened a lot. So they are into sales and trading, they are into investment management, they are into research, they are into institutional broking. So an investment bank today is actually providing a range of financial services, anything other than banking. If you see, so a range of consulting and advisory services is something that is being provided by investment banks today. However, although they are quite different, there is something quite common between them too. Firstly, the size of market is huge. A lot of these investment banks are bulge bracket investment banks having a lot of offices in a lot of different cities and in fact different countries, wherein the main front office pockets are New York, Singapore, London, Hong Kong. These are the main pockets where front end activities are done. And then there is a lot of operational activities that is being done here in India and Philippines. Now this is where a lot of job opportunities come. Okay. Now moving ahead. So now we are talking about the different kind of services that today investment banking is providing. Like I said, traditionally investment banking was about raising capital M&A, but today these bulge bracket investment banks are providing a range of services ranging from the core investment banking services like capital raising, debt, equity, advisory services, M&A, project finance, restructuring of companies, mezzanine financing, or leveraged buyouts, these kind of deals. Other than that, research is another team that they have, which try to research on different stocks, different companies, in order to find out potential investment opportunity. Other than that, sales and trading. Now, sales and trading is where an investment bank helps its clients trade in the markets, right? Now these can be different products, so it helps its clients buy shares, buy bonds, enter into swap transactions, buy derivative transactions, enter into hedging transactions. So this is where sales and trading comes into picture. And direct investment management, wherein you are managing someone else's funds. Okay. Now these are things that, or these are activities that investment banks have been doing lately. Let's proceed ahead. So like we said, what exactly investment banks do is act as an intermediary, right? So now, for example, you must have heard about DMart. Now DMart wanted to raise capital, and they wanted to raise capital to start new stores. So what they do is they issue shares, they raise capital in an IPO. Now there are so many activities to be done. This is where investment banking comes into picture. So they help companies raise capital for growing their businesses, right? So yeah, like we discussed, they are a bridge between surplus units and deficit units. Okay. Again, uh, talking about structural roles. Now, an investment bank, a global investment bank, would be kind of divided into front office, middle office, and back office. The front office is where the revenue generating activity is happening. Like, so that is where the deal is taking place. Like I said, the major pockets are New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, London, right? And there's a lot of middle office and back office operations, which includes risk management, risk control, trade life, as in trying to settle the trade, clearing and settlement, a lot of operational risk management, and all these things comes here in India. And this is where there are a lot of people hired, and there's a huge team working on supporting the front office, right? So yeah, talking about different operations. So within investment banking operations, there is static data or reference data management, which is about managing instrument data. There is middle office and back office operations, which is about the entire life cycle of a trade, from trade execution to validation, right? Trade management, regulatory reporting, risk management, reconciliation. Other than that, they also take care of corporate actions. When I say corporate actions, you must have heard about dividends, stock buybacks, or let us say rights issues, or stock dividends, stock bonuses. Right? Again, these are again where activities where investment banks get involved, and then there are a lot of treasury and custodial services that these investment banks provide. Now, talking about opportunities in investment banking, I think there are a lot of questions also asked in about this. So, firstly, there is a it's a market where there is huge opportunities, and especially investment banking in India is at a very nascent stage, but globally it's very well developed. And see, I'll give you a very simple example. Some of you might be investing in stock markets. You must have heard of that. In stock markets, the settlement cycle is T plus 2. That is, you trade today, your trades get settled after 2 days. So, which means there is a lot of activities being done in those 2 days, right? Now, imagine the quantum of trades done in the global markets. There are so many trades, and there are a lot of activities that have to be done in those 2 to 3 day settlement cycle, and a lot of that work comes here to India. Now, this is where Indian investment, as in, this is where Indian operations or Indian captives are helping their front office counterparts, wherein they do the entire operational work, right? Right from capturing the trade to settling the trade, right? So there's definitely a lot of options, and one more option is most of these investment banks are quite huge. So getting into an investment bank, getting into a huge organization also opens many different roles for you through internal job postings. You must have, so people who have worked in other organizations, you must have seen there's something called as internal job posting. So there are a lot of uh, internal jobs that you will be open for you once you uh, get a step into these organizations. Other than that, yeah, like I said, there's a growing demand. So these are the kind of numbers that have been forecasted, the demand for people having the right set of skills. Now, let me talk about the skills needed, right? Or what are the kind of skills needed here? So, firstly, two types of skills: technical skills. Now, technical skills here means a thorough understanding of financial products, right? up- what is equity markets, what is debt markets, what are the different instrument, what is futures, what is options, what is swaps, how exactly forex is traded. So a thorough understanding of the different products, the different operations, right? And in few minutes, Jasjeet is going to explain this about how CBOP is organized, where in the level 1 you learn about products, level 2 you learn about operations, level 3 is where you learn the other skills, the soft skills, right? Now, in investment banking, you need to be a very quick learner. You have to be a very good communicator. And you'll always have to work in teams. Work hours can be hectic. So, apart from all the technical skills like a sound understanding of financial products and markets, understanding of Microsoft Office products like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, other than that, Bloomberg and other databases, right? You need to be good with numbers. Apart from this, there's a lot of soft skills that you also need to develop, right? Like excellent communication skills, team working skills. Now, these are the kind of skills needed. Talking about salaries, uh, so usually an analyst would earn anywhere around 70K to 1 lakh 20K to 30K, uh, including bonuses. And after analyst, you have associates, senior associates, VPs, and directors. So yeah, it's definitely a moving. It's definitely an upward curve where there is definitely high growth in salaries, but at the same time, responsibilities start increasing. But this is also one such field where if you're ready to work hard, if you're ready to toil, the growth is going to be fast, right? Other than that, we have discussed the skills needed, right? And let me talk about which are few investment banks, right? You must have heard a lot. So now globally, BNP, Nomura, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Goldman, Barclays, HSBC, RBC Capital Markets, all these are the big investment banks. In India too, there are a lot of investment banks like Kotak, JM Financial, uh, NVS Brokerage or NVS Investment Banking. Then there is SBI Cap. So there are a lot of investment banks in India too. Although in India it's at a very nascent stage, it's just picking up. The culture of capital markets is just beginning now. So definitely there'll be a lot of jobs that is going to open up in the Indian markets too. Now, uh, let me take few questions, right? So let me read out few questions, and your questions are going to help others too. So Aishwarya has asked, what is the scope of investment banking? Like we said, investment banking, uh, it's a very broad field. Core investment banking is about uh, capital raising and M&A, but today investment banking is also about sales and trading, investment management, risk management, and brokerage, and a lot of different financial services. So you can say that anything apart from commercial banking services would, in a way, come into investment banking today. Other than that, now Aishwarya has asked why investment banking is better than any other financial services. Now, there's nothing like that, as in, it's not that it is a better service or it is better than every other service, nothing like that. So basically, it's just that it's a fast growing business, and a business where there's a growing demand for skilled employees. So it's not that it's better. It see all these things is a part of the economy. So it's not that it's better or worse than any other financial services, but yeah, it's a fast growing, one of the fastest growing um, segments within the financial services. Then there's a question on what is the future of investment banking. Now, future of investment banking, let me tell you, it's only going to go up, or it is only going to grow. It's just the start. A lot of jobs are just going to open now. Think of it: 3% or 4% of Indians have their money in capital markets. Now, imagine and look at developed countries. Developed countries, this number goes to more than 50%. So, which means there's a lot of awareness that is yet to be created, right? So uh, growth wise, I think for the next 20, 30, and see, these investment banks, JP Morgan, they are 200-year-old banks. So it's not that it's some technology which is going to be there for a few years and it's going to wither away. No, investment banking is something where the role is always there. It's kind of centuries old profession, and it's going to be there for definitely many more centuries. So 5 years, 6 years is a very small time frame when you talk about investment banking. And how to start a career in investment banking? Yeah, so some people do MBA, some people do CFA, uh, CBOP, and these courses also help you uh, put your first step into investment banking. So these are the ways in which people start entering investment banking. Aishwarya has also asked difference between investment banking and investing. Now, investment management is different. Investment management means you are investing someone else's money in shares of a company. Investment banking is you work more like intermediaries. You work as an intermediary between firms which need capital and firms which have capital. So the role is slightly different here. Rohan has asked, is there any criteria for doing this course? I think Jasjeet would be the person who will be able to answer this. So she is going to patch in after some time. So Jasjeet will be able to help with this. Vivek has asked, apart from these certifications, are there any part-time degrees that I can pursue? Uh, I think, yeah, so a lot of people do CFA, FRM, CAIA, but then, yeah, although you can call it part-time or you can call it courses that you can do along with your work, but then it needs dedication. It needs definitely uh, per hour needs around 300 to 400 hours of commitment. So it's going to take a lot of your time. Uh, Institute fees and qualifications for investment banking, Kishan. So Kishan, Jasjeet will be able to answer these questions as in the fees for CBOP and the qualifications required and all. Swagat has asked that you have experience in retail banks. Yes, yes, definitely. It's uh, definitely going to help you, and you're definitely you and see, like I said, there's a lot of soft skills also needed. As a person who have worked in a financial organization, it's definitely going to help you. And working in a retail bank also gives you some technical understanding about accounts of financial statements and companies, and also it definitely will add to your resume. Aishwarya has again asked, does it include derivative? Yes, derivatives is also, as in derivatives definitely is used for investment risk management, but derivatives also is an operation that comes in investment banking. Uh, Swagat has asked, what is the entry level of an investment banker? Now, in investment banking operations in India, an entry level person earns anywhere around 3 lakh, 4 lakh. Good organizations, you can earn around 5 lakhs too. Front end roles, one can earn anywhere around 10 to 12 lakh. Uh, and hefty bonus. So if you must have heard investment banking, bonus is also a huge component when it comes to investment banking. Uh, Scope in India, um, front end opportunities are less, but they are growing. So it will take time for the Indian markets to mature. Uh, but then, yeah, investment banking operations, yes, there is definitely a lot of roles. Organizations have 4,000, 5,000 employees in investment banking operations. So the front end investment banking team in India, it's going to take some time, but then it is a steadily growing business. Then some other questions. Work hours are going to be kind of, I can say that it's going to be hectic. Work hours, you can expect anywhere from 12 hours. On some days, it would be lesser, but then there are days when you might have to stay back in office too. So it's going to be erratic and it's going to be hectic. So it's definitely not an easy career. It's going to be challenging, and trust me, the initial few years is going to be very kind of, it's going to be challenging, and that is why you'll have to kind of acquire the right skill sets. And this is where Imarticus is trying to fill the gap, because what happens is uh, curriculum that you all are studying in your academic institutions, they don't change a lot. On the other hand, financial world is changing quite quickly, and that is the reason why the gap is widening. That is the skills that is being acquired in an academic institution and the skills that is needed at the workplace, so that the gap is definitely widening very fast, because the financial world is changing very fast. So uh, as a part of this role, you'll have to be a very fast and continuous learner. You'll have to uh, keep yourself updated. And yeah, there are some questions on whether it's a 9 to 5 job. No, it's definitely not a 9 to 5 job. There will be days when it will be 9 to 9. There will be days when it will be 9 to 3. So it's not 9 to 5. Operations, on the other hand, would be more predictable, but then again, there will be phases when there'll be a lot of work. And engineering students, no. And then there are questions on whether engineering students can pursue investment banking. Yeah, yeah. So investment banking, there are a lot of, in fact, there are a lot of engineers who have done investment banking. In fact, to tell, as in, I'm myself an engineer. I started with engineering, my career a few decades ago, but then I have been in investment banking since more than so close to 12 to 14 years. I've been in investment banking now. Um, Yeah, CFA is slightly different. CFA is more into equity research, right? So CFA is more into equity research. Now, yeah, so I think I have kind of addressed most of the questions, and then there are definitely a lot of similar questions. Now, I think what we can do is I'll let me introduce or let me invite Jasjeet to come in, and she'll help you with um, the SIBOP offering or the Imarticus offering here. So Jasjeet will take over from here. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. I hope you found it useful so far. My name is Jasjeet, and I am heading the Western region at Imarticus. I'm one of the founder members of the firm, and have been working, have been an investment banker pretty much before I joined here 5 years ago. And I think we conceived CBOP as our first offering for the market, for our B2C market, and then the journey has really been wonderful. And I'll share some statistics as we go along. So what I'm really going to do is share a lot of information with you around the CBOP program, and then I'm going to open this up for questions where whatever you want to know about Imarticus, about careers, etc., we can help you a little bit more. So we'll start with, I hope everybody can see my screen. We're going to start with typically what the CBOP program is all about, an overview of the program, and what does this really mean. So if you look at the CBOP program, and continuing from what Shannon really spoke about, this program is the Certified Investment Banking Operations Professional, which is basically, if I were to make it very easy for the audience to understand, when for an investment bank, their clients typically will be very large institutional clients. And when these institutional clients are looking to invest their monies into the capital markets domain, that is when the trade, sales and trading function of an investment bank really kicks in and helps them to actually structure these the trades or the portfolios that they want. And the operations team is the middle office team, which typically helps in the entire execution of these trades that are offered to the clients of an investment bank. So I think just to make it very easy to understand, we'll take a brief example. And let's say for an investment bank, one of their large clients, which could be a hedge fund, wants to invest, let's say, in the European capital markets, and they have handpicked maybe 2 or 3 stock exchanges where they would like to invest. That could be your exchange traded products, and they also want to do a lot of investments in the OTC space, which is the over-the-counter domain. So what the bank will typically do is they will rope in their best sales people to go talk to these clients. They will then get their senior traders to structure these trades depending upon the client's investment objectives, their risk appetite, their requirement on returns, etc. And once the whole trade is structured and signed off by the client, the entire global execution, if I may, of these trades across asset classes, in the fixed income space, in the equity space, in the commodity space, and in the derivatives across these asset classes, is done by a team called operations. And this program typically prepares you for roles in the operations domain. So if we look at the key focus areas of the program, in line with what I just said, we talk about this program will help you to understand in depth the role of an investment bank. Now, I've seen a lot of you are very inquisitive, and I've seen the questions, and I will come to those while I'm drawing to a close. But this is typically we spend about 8 to 10 hours in the beginning of the program, where we talk you through the entire financial markets, how they are structured globally, what is the meaning of capital markets, what is the role of an investment bank, and what is it that who are their clients, and how do they really bring together all the different aspects of an investment bank. What are the functions of a bank, capital markets, what they are, what are the various products, what are the various asset classes they offer, what is operations within an investment bank, because typically the trade life cycle, or how a trade actually flows in a bank is not only regulated by, there are multiple regulators across geographies that regulate this. Plus, every bank has their individual commitments, their policies that they follow. So how these operations happen at an investment bank is something we cover. Risk management is a very inherent function to this area, because operations typically involves multiple trades across geographies and multi-million dollars happening at a given point in time. And risk management hence has to be part of the operation, every individual who is performing trade operations, and hence we cover this very extensively, and compliance. So I think this has become particularly important after the 2008 meltdown, where Lehman Brothers went bankrupt and there was a huge global financial depression followed on. And so this is where we talk about each of these scenarios and how banks today are mitigating risk, what are the various sort of governing bodies around this, what are the various regulations that have come up, and how banks need to work towards it. From an objective, they understand investment banking operations, and they can be hired by leading banks. As a methodology, this is a completely classroom program where we have expert trainers with a minimum of 8 to 10 years of experience who will come in and take you through this entire curriculum with a lot of live case studies, with a lot of trading simulations, trading workshops that you do, where you actually get a lot of hands-on experience in each of these areas, and a lot of work. We get guest lectures from the industry, people who come and talk to you about what is actually happening in the world out there today, and what is it that you will need to do. So that's typically the first slide in terms of what the program is and what we offer. Moving on, let's just take a brief overview of the curriculum. So what is it that we cover in this program? I think there were a couple of questions directed at this, and I'm going to cover this. So this is a 180-hour classroom training, out of which 20 hours are exclusively spent on case studies, which are very, very relevant. We update these very regularly because, as Shannon mentioned, finance is an extremely dynamic world. There is a whole lot of regulatory changes, product level changes, a whole level of fintech changes. There's a lot of technology that is evolving regularly. And all of that, I think, requires us to keep you completely abreast through usage of these most updated case studies. And there's a lot of assessments, very rigorous assessments, and mock interviews and mock practice that we do at the end of the module. So there are 3 levels typically in this program. Level 1 will cover the introduction to investment banking and all the various asset classes, which is your cash equities, fixed income, your derivatives across asset classes, FX as a product, and the beginning of the trade life cycle. So typically the trade life cycle starts with actually getting the client onboarded into the systems of the bank. And then it actually ends with the entire, unless the client actually decides to hive off their portfolio. So that's the trade life cycle, unless once the security or the product comes into their custody account. So what, as retail investors, we understand the demat accounts. So that's your trade life cycle, the beginning of it. Level 2, there's a lot of focus on behavioral development, your soft skills, interpersonal skills, personality development, a lot of campus to corporate kind of work, because a lot of the audience here will be freshers with max up to 2 years of experience. They require a lot of brushing up in their personal development as well, and that's what we do. And then the trade life cycle, typically corporate action being one part of the trade life cycle. And then the entire trade life cycle gets finished. Asset management, what is asset management, what it means for clients and how it's done. And then finally clearing and settlement of trades. So how these there are clearing houses globally that actually clear these trades, and a lot of it today is technology driven and largely straight through. But there are different scenarios that banks and operations go through, and we try and cover a lot of that. And the final settlement of these trades, which is what we cover, and reconciliations, which is largely a risk mitigation mechanism, which we would have covered in the risk piece as well. And reconciliations helps us to ensure as a bank that every aspect of the trade is re-looked at multiple levels across the trade life cycle to ensure we are not losing track anywhere and the trade is completely in line with what it started off with. The final level, which is 25 hours, is again AML KYC, which is very compliance and regulatory. Risk management, which I've already mentioned. Again, a lot of work on behavioral, soft mocks. We have specific aligned soft skills trainers who help you work with your resumes, redoing your resumes, actual soft skills interviews where we, what are the kind of interviews, what are the kind of questions, HR questions you could get in an interview, and how to kind of confidently answer them as per your profile. And then finally, there is a certification exam post which you are, once you go through multiple rounds of mock interview practice, you are certified as a CBOP, student, and you're eligible for our placements. Now, which is by far the most important aspect of this program, and I'm going to cover that before we go ahead. So if we look at placements, what does Imarticus typically do? We start during your learning journey. There will be a resume building, which is refining and polishing of your existing resume or helping you to create one in case you don't have it, with insider tips so that when you go to an investment bank, typically what is the expectation of somebody sitting on the other side of the table? How do you really come up to that expectation and make the most of it? A lot of work on interview preparation. So there is an HR prep and there is a technical interview, mock interview rounds that we do, which help you to prepare for the onward interviews once you finish the program. Mock interviews, exactly the same. And finally, leads and references, which is where our placement dedicated coordinators or people who are in the placements team, you have access to our placement portal, and our placements team will help you with a minimum of 3 to 4 guaranteed interviews with leading global investment banks and smaller boutique investment banks in the operations space. So that's typically what we do. So the process starts with career preparation. Will typically start with counseling, where our senior counselors at the centers or in the online space will talk to you through the program. We take you through the CBOP certification. Step 3, there is we help you in the job preparation, in the interview preparation, and then finally in the placements. If you look at statistics, we've trained actually over 12,000 students, and we've placed about 77% of students that have trained with us so far. So CBOP has been in play for almost 5 years now, and is by far one of the most successful programs that Imarticus runs. I would urge you to probably go online, and even on our website, there's a whole lot of reviews that are available for each of you to go and check out on how the learning is, what people have achieved really at the end of this program, and how it has helped them to really shape their careers in investment banking. From a learning perspective, how do we really, our training is known to be one of the best. It's completely world-class, completely in line with the expectations of an investment bank. We have, of course, the learning will be through exceptionally good trainers. We regularly rate them to ensure that they're delivering the quality we require, and our onward clients, which our investment banks require. The assessments are typically done for students through quizzes, tests, and we do class exercises. There's a lot of discussions and question and answers, and we finally close that with assignments and case studies, where we try to replicate live business environments, where you're able to see what's actually happening in the world out there and how you actually apply your learning into, so that you can hit the ground in corporate running, and you're able to start, and you're able to contribute really early on in your career graph, and you're a valued employee at a bank. the most sought after careers in financial services, which is investment banking, and Imarticus literally becomes the enabler for you to kind of to help you make that journey. So that's really the long and short of the program and how it works, etc. What I would like to do now is maybe take questions related to what I've covered and maybe the last few. I have Yashwant who has asked, can you arrange interviews in an investment bank other than operations? Absolutely, we do, Yashwant, but CBOP is not the right program for that, because once you do CBOP, you will get interviews in operations. But if you're interested in the front office areas of, let's say, M&A, private equity, etc., we also have a program which is a pro degree with Ernst & Young called the Ernst & Young Pro Degree Program, which is available on our website. You learn in the areas of M&A, private equity, you learn financial modeling, you learn valuations, you learn equity research, and then we provide you interview leads and references in these areas once upon completion of the program. So that's something else you could consider outside of CBOP in case you're interested in that area. We have I'm going to complete, so we have Rohan who says, I'm going to complete my second year in BBA. Can I join this course, or when will be the best time? Once you are, the recommended really, Rohan, would be at the end of your BBA, because what happens is typically you get out of or towards maybe January next year, which is when you can take the program, finish your exams, and then come to us for placement. So that typically seems to be the right time for you to take this course. I have somebody who says, Yashwant again says, every investment bank is trading in different countries, but why not more in Indian markets? Yashwant, that's changing in a big way with the way with the bull run that we've typically had over the last 6 months, and the kind of macroeconomic factors that India has today in terms of GDP growth and projections, with a very stable political environment, with a great demographic dividend. I mean, if you look at everything today is in the favor of India, and hence you are seeing that large interest in the FIIs that are coming into India, and we have more and more investments that are coming. So that's something that you will keep seeing. I have Rachel who says, is this course suited for a BA Economics? Absolutely it is, Rachel, and you can come down. We do a pre-assessment in this course. We try and understand. We do typically a technical assessment where we do we test your reasoning and analytical basic abilities. We understand your communication skills, and that's when you can take admission in this course. So a BA Economics is absolutely eligible. I have Shivani who says, how is this different from the share market? Shivani, if I look at the share market, and it's a very, very generic term, but typically the stock market is very, very retail focused, the B2C, people like you and me. Investment banking is largely very institutional client focused, and hence that's where it comes in. I have Mati Vanthan who says, what course we have to pursue for front office work in IB? I already covered that. That's the EY program, the Ernst & Young Pro Degree in Corporate Finance, which is also available at Imarticus, and you can probably go through it on our website and get more details. You can live chat with us on our website. You can send us a query. You can call us on our numbers that are available, and we'll be more than happy to help. What is the fee for the program? Typically ranging between 75,000 to 80,000 in different centers. So this program cost is typically split over 2 installments, which you pay only after we kind of certify that you're eligible for the admission. And so 80,000, I would say 75 to 80,000 is the fee for the program. EY is 70,000 if you do it in the classroom. We also have an online version which is offered at 55,000. That's Mani, answer to your question, Mani. Happy to take any more questions. I have Durga who says, what salary package is offered by CBOP? Salaries typically range between 2.5 to 6 lakhs, Durga. So for a bachelor's fresher, it could be 2.5 to 4.5 lakhs. For a master's, it could be 3.5 to 6.5 lakhs. For chartered accountants, it could be higher. So it depends upon your profile, your personality, but typically 2.5 to 6 lakhs is the bracket. I have Arvindan who says, is there job opportunities in abroad? Aravindan, after the CBOP program, the opportunities that we offer you are within within India. But once you join the bank, of course, and depending upon how well you're doing, you can then get transfers abroad. But the CBOP program placements are all for the Indian arms of these banks. I have Vaibhav who says, what are the skills required? Typically, one is your educational qualification, Vaibhav, which is your, as I already mentioned, plus soft skills, your behavioral, how well you're able to speak, how well you're able to represent yourself is what we would typically require. And that's what we will test during the assessment that we do before you do your registration for this program. Will financial modeling certification help me with CBOP? Durga, not really. Financial modeling will help you more with the corporate finance certification, the EY program, and not for CBOP. So for a fresher, which is the best course you can refer, as I'm not having related experience. So money depends upon what you're looking for. If you're looking for a role within investment banking operations, CBOP is the best program, which is the capital market sides of a bank. If you're looking at the corporate finance side, which is M&A, advisory, project finance, private equity, etc., then you should opt for the Ernst & Young Pro degree. Shivani says, I am planning to go for the FRM exam in 2018. So would it be a good option to go with investment banking? Absolutely, Shivani. FRM will be quite irrelevant if you're not working with an investment bank, because FRM is an advanced risk certification, which is, where you will only get your due at an investment bank in terms of the kind of work you will do, plus the kind of, the value you will add to yourself, and of course the monetary compensation. So absolutely, you should go with investment banking. Kishan says, what is the difference between CFA and investment banking? CFA is just a qualification. It's the Chartered Financial Analyst, which is a US certification in financial analysis. And investment banking, as I said, is in itself is a world of finance. So that's the difference, really. I had good behavior and also work according to environment. So, okay, didn't get that one. Course duration in number of days. Kishan, this is typically, if you do it, this is offered in the weekday format and weekend format. If you're working and you take the weekend program, it's typically a 5-hour class every Saturday and Sunday. So it's 10 hours over the weekend, takes us about 3.5 months. But if you opt for the weekday option, that is done 4 to 5 days in a week, pretty much through the day, 10 to 4, 10 to 5, and it gets covered in 2 months. So it could be either 2 months or 3 months. I have done NCFM beginners module. Will it help me? Sure, it will, Aishwarya. But NCFM is very focused on the Indian markets and the products that are traded here. If you're looking at global exposure and joining global banks, then I would recommend CBOP in a big way. Many of your students are placed as operations analysts. What is this role? Is Durga's question. Durga, as I said, once the trade is made, typically once the client agrees to execute a trade globally, the entire execution of this trade, it could happen across 4 or 5 countries or 4 or 5 continents, and it follows the typical life cycle, the whole trade. And the operations analyst is, the cog in the wheel, it's one of the cogs in the wheel where they're part of some aspect of the trade life cycle, whether they're booking the trade or they're confirming the trade or they're settling the trade or they're doing the corporate action. It could be any of those aspects that they will cover as an operations analyst. Akhil says, I am doing CA final studies. Should I opt for investment banking now or after completing my CA? I would say, Akhil, this is the right time, because considering the low rate of success in chartered accountancy, this is a great option because you have a secure job in hand. And even if you do get your chartered accountancy, once you complete it, you can have excellent growth opportunities within an investment bank. So please do not wait for your CA completion. This will not only add value to you as a person in terms of a role, but also give you a lot of confidence because you will have a job even before you complete your chartered accountancy with one of the best banks in the globe. Mani says, I visited our Hyderabad branch, ma'am, and they suggested CBOP, but I'm interested in EY. Which is the first step for a fresher? I would say, Mani, there's a lot of students who are interested in both domains and tend to do this program as a combination. So they do the CBOP program and follow it up with EY, or do the EY program and follow it up with CBOP. It completely depends upon you. I would recommend you talk to your counselor, because there are very good discounts we offer if you're enrolling for 2 programs. So please talk to your counselor at the center, and they will help you with this. Akhil, I've already spoken about range of packages. Typically for a bachelor's, it is 2.5 to 4.5 lakhs. For a master's, I would say 3 to 6 lakhs, and for a CA, typically 4 to 8 lakhs. I want a career in banking, but not in marketing. Ravi, I hope you were listening to the entire webinar, because this is not a career in marketing. This is a career in pure investment banking, and you will not be doing any kind of marketing or sales work. So that's something you don't need to worry about, Ravi. The role is clearly in the area of operations within an investment bank. We also had some questions around, somebody says, how is it different from the share market? Can I know why we should do the course? I think we've covered almost all the questions that we had so far. I'm happy to stay on for another 2 to 3 minutes and answer any more questions that you may have. Ravi, I think you've joined late, but typically placements is an intrinsic part of the CBOP program. And there is multiple things we do to kind of ready our students from a placement perspective. And Imarticus guarantees each student in CBOP 2 to 3 placement, which is interview opportunities, which Imarticus schedules for its students. Does it require traveling? Largely not, Vaibhav. It does not require too much traveling, because these are low roles within India. But if you do, if you're really good and you do get picked up for projects which are global, you could have to travel globally. But that's very, very rare, and only the top few. Once you're more established in the system, will you get such options. Aarti says, hi ma'am, I had visited the Bangalore location where I was told that since I have an engineering background with MBA Finance, it would be difficult to get a job. Is that true? Not really, Aarti. Actually, by far, engineers with MBA Finance is one of the most sought after combinations in investment banking, not only from a front office, which is your EY program, but also CBOP. Please feel free to enroll for the program and you will get placed. I don't think there's a worry there. Yashwant says, what are the positions we can expect other than in operations? That's pretty much it. So this is an operations program, Yashwant, and that's what you can expect. Cost of the programs, Akhil, is, as I said, CBOP is 80,000, between 75 and 80,000, and the Ernst & Young program is 70,000 in the classroom and 55,000 for the online program. Thanks, Mani. Thanks for the compliment. Mani says, super webinar, awesome support from the team. Durga says, ma'am, do you provide career counseling for different programs of Imarticus? Absolutely, we do, Durga. Wherever you're based in the country, you can call us. We can counsel you over the phone. If we have an Imarticus center in your city, please feel free to visit us, and we'll be more than happy to provide you career counseling as well as information on all our programs. Aravindan says, what are the difference between people skilled and unskilled joining in investment banking? I really didn't get that one, Aravindan. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, because typically we pre-assess our students very rigorously, and somebody who's unskilled would not be able to join the CBOP program because the benchmark here is fairly high. Shivani says, can you please tell me once more about the job roles after the EY program? So the Ernst & Young Pro degree, typically the jobs could be, again, in the corporate finance world, where you could be working in the, because you could be working in the M&A domain, you could be working at equity research, you could be working in private equity, you could be working in, in large trading houses. So there's multiple roles that you can do. Aishwarya says, love the webinar, really, very helpful. Thank you, Aishwarya. Akhil says, do you have a Chandigarh center also? As of now, we don't, Akhil. I'm sure we will within this year, but the closest center to you will be Delhi, and you could pursue a program, or we have a lot of online offerings, and we'd be more than happy for you to pick up one of those options as well. Shivani says, we have Vaibhav Raj. Please tell me about financial analyst. I think we've covered that. Durga says pre-assessment test would be testing our basics of finance. Yes, it's more reasoning and logic and a little bit of finance, Durga, because finance is what you're coming to learn. So we're not going to test too much of that, but we want you to be fairly, in terms of your reasoning, logic, you need to be quite sound, and that's what we will test, and your communication skills, because these are global banking jobs, and the communication and personality benchmarks are fairly high. Guys, there's a lot of blogs, videos, reviews that are available on our website. I would encourage you to go to our website and type in CBOP. You'll be able to see a lot of blogs. There's a lot of information that is available on our website itself, not just about the program, but about these careers in general, because one of the key areas that we try to cover is giving people a lot of knowledge. So if you go to the Imarticus Facebook page or our Twitter handle, there's a whole lot of information, blogs that we provide about finance and analytics on a regular basis to keep our audience abreast of what are the career options and how we can support your aspirations. So please do feel free to do that. Do mutual funds come under investment banking? Yes, they do in a way. They come under the asset management side of an investment bank, where, typically, which is also one arm of an investment bank, Revant. When the CBOP program, when will the next program start? So, Arvindan, we have batches of CBOP running across our 11 centers almost every other month. So we run 6 to 8 batches per annum, or actually about 10 to 12 batches per annum in each of our centers. So please feel free to reach out to the center which is closest to you, and they will, tell you as per their schedule when the next batch starts. 2 more minutes, guys. Happy to answer, take any more questions that you have. Duration of the CBOP program. I've answered this already, money, but it's 2 months for a weekday and 3.5 months for the weekend program. What are the career growth opportunities? I have Vijay Kumar asking me. So CBOP typically is a program which is amazing from a career perspective. You could start as an analyst and you could be a vice president in 10 years. And we have multiple examples across the industry, including myself, who have had that career, who have benefited from it, and you could be one of them as well. It's obviously, it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of grit, and you're going through the grind, but it's an extremely rewarding and fine career option, Vijay. Vijayawada, I'm guessing Hyderabad should be your closest center, Yashwant, if you're at Vijayawada. Or for CBOP, you will need to come down to one of our centers. We also have one in Bangalore. I don't know how far that would be. Shivani says, I've completed my graduation in 2014. So there's a gap of 3 years. So should I go with this, or first should I aid? No, you're absolutely fine, Shivani. I would recommend that you go for the program immediately. Go to one of our centers and they can tell you the next steps. And you will be eligible. That's not a problem. The course is absolutely available in Chennai, Vijay, and you should go visit our Chennai center, which is the address and all the details you will find on our website. We have a full-fledged center at Chennai. Guys, thank you very much. I think I hope I've been able to provide all the information that you required, and this is was beneficial to you. This is not available in Visakhapatnam, Rohan, but you can look at the closest center to you and attend the program. So thank you, guys, and I will take your leave now.